Hi guys, it's Patricia here, and today I'm bringing you a different kind of video. I just wanted to share a quick video on how I do my samples. Now I've tried different ways. I used to put the cubes in a Pyrex glass measuring cup, and I used to put that in the microwave, and then one of the consultant sites got really angry with me and said that was unsafe, and so I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. So I started trying other methods, and what I'm going to do is I am going to break down to my kitchen, and I'm going to shoot some videos. I'm going to talk my way through the videos, and hopefully you'll kind of get the gist and see if this way it works for you. And I will also suggest one other way, and then I'll check back at the end of the video and we'll talk a little bit, and I'll show you one other thing. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so here we are. I have some Be Merry, which is November scent of the month. I'm just going to do a few samples to show you. I'm going to take out 3 cubes. That'll make about 15 samples. So I roughly get 5 cubes, 5 samples out of each cube. So I'm just going to cut it into pieces. Now the smaller you cut it, the better, because the smaller the pieces, the better they will melt. Now I thought of doing this instead of dealing with hot wax and trying to get hot wax into a holder. I thought, well, why don't we start with solid wax? Now I switched to a small knife just to show you can use whatever knife you want. The goal is to just cut it into pieces. So sometimes that takes a little bit of time, but it's kind of relaxing. I'd rather do this than deal with syringing hot wax or pouring hot wax into a container. So yes, I just gather it up. I usually, and you could go back over it, I usually aim for about the size of like a peppercorn. I mean, obviously it's not going to be circular, but about that size. Smaller than a pea is better, so just keep going over it. Like I said, the smaller you get it, the faster it melts. Regather it. Now I'm going to just show you here. That piece is a bit too big. We got to get that smaller, so you can just cut them up. And yeah, that's pretty good. So you take, this is a silicone mold. I got it from the dollar store. It has 10, and so I just divvy up my pieces. If I see a piece that's big, I just cut it up and I put it in the molds. I try to keep it off the top, because then it just makes a little bit of a mess. So anytime I see a big piece, I just chop it up. You can sometimes just break it, and I just divvy it up as best I can. Sometimes I'll make certain ones thinner or thicker, depending. If I'm mailing them, I make them a bit thinner if possible. So yeah, this is not very exciting, but basically I'm just filling up, and again, I'm just going to make another 5. So normally, sometimes I make big, huge batches of samples all at once, and sometimes I just do little batches, maybe 20 at a time. It depends on my mood. It depends on how much time I have. So now we're going to go over to the stove. So here we are at the stove, and right here I'm clicking on warming center. Now you need a special type of stove for this. So if you have a warming center, this is ideal. So up in the back of my stove, that's the warming center. I slide my silicone mold right on that. Now keep in mind, this is starting from cold, so it does take a little bit of time. Here we are, just a couple minutes in, it's starting to melt. Just shake it around gently, it'll help it melt a little faster. I'll come back when it's almost melted. Here we are, it's been about 5 minutes. You can see there's some pieces in there that are not fully melted, but they're almost melted. And again, I picked a bad color wax to show you with my red on red. Okay, here we are melted. There's one little hunk at the bottom, but that will melt with residual heat. I'll just shake it up. Right there, that one will melt. So we'll just slide that off here in a second. Slide her off onto the cooler part of the stove, and slide the next one on. And I just let that one sit off to the side for a few minutes. Then I put it in the fridge, and we let it harden. I usually just leave it in the fridge. Okay, so just like in the Food Network, we have magically made our samples. And what I did was I just took the one out of the fridge that had 5. And I must say, I picked the worst color wax to make samples with because I have red silicone molds and I have red wax. But this has been in the fridge for a little bit, and what you do is I just pop it out very easily. They come out, and that's about the thickness. They're a cute little heart. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit of wax mess on the floor. Actually, I have a little bag here. I think I'll just do it on top of the bag. So I've got 5 here. I'll just pop them out. 1, 2, and this is 3. They come out very easily. 4. Every once in a while you break one. If I break one, I just use that for myself. So what I do is I usually just take one of the stickies and put it on one of those little bags. I open it up. I put my little heart in. I usually save the thicker ones for people that I know and the thinner ones for people that I don't know. Anyway, the other thing is sometimes if I mail these, they're a bit too thick. So what I have to do is, like with the warmth of my hand, I have to press and flatten them. So if you ever receive samples from me in the mail and they look a little bit like a broken heart or a smushed heart, that's why. I could do felt samples, but I do find that it's nice if you have something to melt because sometimes they change once the scent changes once warmed. So the other thing is you can take your flyer and you can either put a sticker on the back like I've done here, but I find I like to, I think it's more cost effective. I had a stamper made. You can get this on Vistaprint, and I just stamp the bottom. And it's not, you know, it doesn't line up perfectly, but all the information is there. And what I do is I would take this, I don't have my stapler with me, and I usually staple it right to the front. Yep. Now, some people put their information on this as well. I find if you're giving it to some people that you know, usually they're going to know who gave it to them and the information's on the back. But if you're giving it to total strangers, you're going to an event or something like that, I would definitely label both the flyer and the bag. So the only other thing I want to mention was an alternative method before I started doing my warming center method was I would make a double boiler. So what I would do is I'd take a pot, you know, something you'd make mac and cheese with or something like that, macaroni and cheese, craft dinner. And I put like maybe an inch of water in the bottom, and then I put a cookie cooling rack on the top, and I heat it up and it would steam. You can put your little silicone mold right on top of that and it will heat the wax. Now steam is a very powerful heat method, so it does work very well, and I just wanted a slightly safer alternative because I do have a son in a wheelchair and he wheels around. I didn't want anything with steam and that kind of thing. So this way that I do it works well for me. So hopefully this video was helpful. Feel free to like and subscribe if you're new. And as always, thanks for spending the last few minutes with me. I hope you have a great day in your neck of the woods. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.